Good morning, students. So, in today's class, we are going to see solving problems with algorithm. In last class, I have taught you about what is algorithm and the steps to develop and the characteristics, uses, all we have learned in the last class. Today, we are going to solve a problem with algorithm by following the rules and steps to write an algorithm. Yes, let's move to the topic. Yeah, see to this. First, remember the rules for writing an algorithms. First, you should always begin to write an algorithm using start command, and I'll always write each step that the algorithm has some following steps, so you have to write all the steps in a separate line. After then you have to number it, or step 1, step 2, likewise. Then third thing, use the word input or read when you want to add a input. Yes. So if you want to write an input, if you want to add some input, you can use the command input or read. And the fourth one, the same, but you're going to get an output. For getting an output, you have to give a command, either print, or else you can give a command to write. That will print your result, that is your output. Then fifth thing, the fifth is the final step that you're going to end the algorithm, that you can use stop command. And finally, what they are saying, you do not make the algorithm too long. Remind that you should not make the algorithm too long with more steps. Yes, let's see the sum, not a sum, it's a program, how they have written algorithm. See to this. They have asked to write an algorithm to find the average of three numbers. That you should find the average of three numbers as they given A, B, and C. So the average of three numbers A, B, and C, we have to find the average. For that, we have to write an algorithm. By following these all six steps, we have to write an algorithm. What is the first thing? Step one. What we have learned in the rules, we have to always begin with start. So we have start the program. The step first is to start. We have done with the command start. And what? Always write each steps in separate line and number them. How? You can write the steps, input A, input B, and input C. Why we are writing input? We have learned that to use, you can use the word input or read to write an input. So here we want to find the average of three numbers. So we are giving as it as input. So or else we can use the command read. Yes. So here we have done with input A, input B, input C. So the fifth step here we have done, we have written the formula that to find the sum of A, B, C. So we just add all the three numbers. And the sixth step is finding the average of three numbers. So fifth step, we are just adding all the three numbers, and sixth, we are finding the average. So the instruction we have given, the find the average of three numbers as average equal to sum by 3. Sum is nothing but the find it value in previous step. Rather step fifth, we have find A plus B plus C. So sum will be the answer will be getting via after when you add all these three numbers. So you should substitute the value here, sum by 3, and you'll be getting an output. Print average. Print average is that to get an output is the seventh step we have done here to print the average. We have learned here use the word print or write. Here, you can write either print or write command to get an output of the average of three numbers. So we have just written as print average. We just need the average of the three numbers. So the final step is to stop. Can you understand? Always end with stop. The final step, we are just closing with these eight steps. We didn't make any too long algorithm here. And the final step, we have closed the program by using the command stop. Okay. So this is the way you write an algorithm. I hope you understand how to write an algorithm by following the rules and steps. Don't forget to remind the rules and steps while writing an algorithm. Here they have given a no for writing an algorithm. Yes, you can write the three inputs that also can be entered together as input A, B, C that you can write in a same line. Here we have divided as step 2, step 3, step 4. In order not to make an algorithm too long, we can write it as in the same line. This will reduce the steps of an algorithm. So there is a possibility of writing an input in a same line. You can write it. Okay. Here they have given example 2 is nothing but I just want to explain by comparing with the example first sum. In example 2, what they are asking is write an algorithm to find the compound interest. In the previous problem, they have just given to find the average of three numbers. The input they have given ABC, the number they have given ABC. We are just writing algorithm for that. Here they are asking us to find the compound interest by giving the values of principal. They have given the principal, rate, and time. So first step, what we have to do? The first step, always begin the first step with start. Yes. Then you can write the input in a same line, right? The first in the first example, we have divided the steps and we have increased the order of algorithm. We have increased the steps in algorithm, but here we have got the note here that insists we can write input in a same line. How many inputs are there? You can write in a same line. So likewise, we can write it. Here we have done that note work, note instruction. We have done all the principal, rate, time input in a same line. This has been reduced the steps. So in previous we have 8 steps because of dividing the inputs. But here we have written in the same line that reduces the steps. So find the amount of A. We have to find the amount of A as P that they have given. This is a compound interest formula as P into 1 by R divided by 100. That is power of N. So finding the compound interest Ci as A minus P. Actually, here the compound interest formula is P1 plus R divided by 100. Please make note of that. The compound interest formula is P into 1 plus R by 100 and to the power of n. So the fourth step, what you have done to find the compound interest. Ci as A minus P. So the amount what we get, we have to minus with the principal here. And the fifth step is to print CI, that is compound interest. We are printing the values, what they has to find, compound interest. Here we have done to print the CI, that is we are finding the compound interest. For that to get an output, we are giving a command to print it. And the sixth step, we have just closed the program by using the command stop. Okay, so this example 2 and the example 1, I hope that makes you to understand how to write an algorithm by following the rules. Okay, let's move to the flow chart. What is flowchart? It is a diagrammatic representation of the steps taken to perform a task. So we have learned algorithm, right? We have learned algorithm that gives a set of instructions. Here in flowchart, it is a diagrammatic representation. It has some shapes. So on that shapes, we are going to give a set of instruction that we are going to write an algorithm. So that of steps taken to perform a task. So in flow chart, each step is represented in the form of geometrical shapes. Yes, that have some different geometrical shapes that contains with an algorithm, and each shape that represents some particular uses. So let's learn that uses. Before that, here they are saying the symbols are connected using arrows. So let's see the shapes. What are the shapes we have in flowcharts? The first shape is oval, rounded, rectangle. So you can say either oval or rounded rectangle. But here in flowchart, we are saying it as a start box. What we are saying? As a start box. Okay. And the second thing is a rectangle. The shape name here in flowchart we use is for process box. We can say this rectangle box as a process box while writing designing a flow chart. Okay, and the third thing is parallelogram. So here the name is input and output box. So the oval box sort of use, what is that use of oval box? Let's see to that. Used to show the start and the end of the flow chart. So while writing an algorithm, we should start and the end. To close the program, we should use the command stop. So for writing that algorithm using a flow chart, you should use this shape. This shape is used to write a start command while designing a flowchart. And then rectangular use. What is the uses of this shape? Process box. This process box used to show the process or action, what we are doing, what we are beginning with the process. So that denotes in this a rectangular shape, that is known as process box. And parallelogram, here in flowchart, it represents the name, input, and output box. What is the use of input and output box? Here we are giving the input, or while writing an output. For both, we are using this parallelogram shape used to show whether the data is input or output. And we have two more shapes. Here, this is diamond shape, and the name of this diamond shape in flowchart is represented as decision box. So while you make decision writing an algorithm using a flowchart, you should use this shape. So use of this is when you need to select between two options. if you want to write any option like yes or no, commonly used. So for writing this, you can make decision. You should make decision. So for that, you can use diamond, decision box, and arrow. Arrow is known as a flow line in flowchart. So, what is the use of arrow? Used to connect all the different shapes in a flowchart, that indicates directions of flowchart. Here, the symbols, these all symbols are connected using this arrow. These arrows shows the sequence of steps in a particular directions. So it shows the sequence, how the steps are developing. It shows the sequence of steps in a particular directions. The arrow are responsible for direction of flow of program or control flow. It can be said as a direction of flow of control of a program. So, in flowchart, an algorithm can be represented as flowchart. The type of symbols we used will depend on the nature of action defined in an algorithm. And there is a there is a point you should know that the start box and the stop box. Here you can say it as a start box or either a stop box, and this is known as also known as terminal boxes. You can say it also as a terminal boxes. Here, in this, what they are saying, this flowchart designing helps to understand the stepwise working of a process. So we can understand the working process easily here. The flowcharts are used in many industries such as engineering, computer programming, entertainment, education, and physical science for any given purposes, like to design some simple process or program, to plan a new project, to manage some data, to document a process, to manage a workflow, to impart trainings. For any purpose, you can design using a flow chart and to write an algorithm. Yes, let's see to the steps for flowcharts. How to design a flowchart? We need some following steps. How we have learned in algorithm, the same we have in flowchart. The first step, you have to understand the process, how to draw the flowchart. And the second step is to list the process, that what are the first thing you have understand the process of to drawing the flow charts. So the second step, you have to insert an algorithm in each of the steps for getting into a process, and then begin the process with start symbol. So to begin the flow chart, we have to write the algorithm in a start box, that is, we have to write in a this in this oval shape. Yes, and writing the first step in the appropriate symbol. The first step in the appropriate symbol means we have to start with the start symbol, and then you have to add the instructions, and the first step and the next step how to be written, that should be in a followed manner. Write each successive step in its respective symbol. So how they are asking to write first oval, that means you have to start, and then you can use the rectangle to the process the action, and the third is parallelogram, that you are giving an input and output. And if you have any make you have many made any decision, according to that you can use the diamond shape, and all these shapes are connected using arrows. So the sixth step, what they are saying, add arrows between all the symbols to show the flow of control, and make sure that all the flow paths reach the single stop box. So whatever the designs may be, it should end in a single stop box. The stop box is also the oval shape. The start box is also can be written for stop box. And remind that all the algorithm what we are writing in a flowchart that should end in a single stop box. The next is rules for writing of flowcharts. There is a three important rules. What are they? A flowchart has only one start box and only one stop box. So the directions of a flow in a flowchart is either from top to bottom or left to right. So note this point is a very important point while writing the algorithm using a flow chart. You should understand the process should done either from top to bottom or from left to right. The flow of control that allows only one path. What you mean by flow of control? The arrows. The arrows that should follow only one path. Let's see how they have written a flow chart. In previous class, we have seen one example for writing an algorithm. What is that? I hope you remember. We have seen of making a sandwich, making some recipes or meals. So that is we have chosen as an example while learning algorithm. The same thing we have done here, but we have done with design it in a flowchart. So the first thing you have to write all the algorithm. First thing, you have to write all the algorithm, and then you are designing with the flow charts. See to that, the first step what they have done, they have started and they have taken two slices of bread, applied cheese spread on one side of first bread slice. The process they have written in a stepwise. And the fourth, spread mint tomato sauces and second bread slices. Place cabbage leaves, cucumber, and tomato pieces over all the cheeses. Sprinkle seasonings on and place the second slice over it. And the sandwich is ready to eat. The whole algorithm for preparing a sandwich is done. And what we have to do, we have to end the process. How? We can use stops command, right? We can use the stop command to end the program. Here we have learned that in the rules, the start and stop box, the flow chart has only one start and one stop box. So you can see to the picture how they have start with one single start box and they have ended their process in a one single stop box. And what they have said in the second rule, the directions of a flow in a flow chart that should be either from top to bottom or from left to right. Here, the process is done top to bottom. The arrow mark that denotes the process, how they have developed an algorithm using flow charts. So this shape, what is this shape denotes? It's a parallelogram. We have given input of taking a two slices of bread, and then in rectangular boxes you are given the process. What are the process? Applying, spreading, in keeping some cabbage leaves, cucumbers. So this is a process of making a sandwich. So we have written all that in a rectangular box. The rectangular box is also known as process box. In flowchart, it is said as a process box. And parallelogram shape that says we are given some inputs. So the process also we have to write this algorithm in parallelogram. That means output box. This is known as an output box. This is known as an input box. While starting, we should add some inputs, and then this process comes into it, and then finally we have to get an output. The output should be written in a parallelogram shape. And finally, what we have done, we have done end the process we have end the algorithm using one stop box, and these arrow marks denotes the flow of control of this particular process from top to bottom. The directions that denotes the top to bottom. And have one more examples that we can write the algorithm from left to right, that is from left to right also you can write the direction. You can design a flow chart that using the arrows you can design the directions of flow from left to right. Remind that the directions of flow in a flow chart that only contains either from top to bottom or from left to right. Okay, we have seen about the solving problems with algorithm by following the rules for writing an algorithm, and we have learned the flow chart. What is flow chart and what are the shapes used in flow chart, we have learned that too, and the steps to design a flow chart and rules for designing a flow chart, we have seen all this in this class. In next class I'll teach you about solving problems with flow charts. So from that you can understand how to design a flowchart. This is just an example of preparing a sandwich. Is just an example. In next class, I'll teach you to make how to solve problem with flowchart. We'll meet you in the next class. Thank you, students.